Hi, I'm Ryan CRC, and welcome to The Truth Heals. Republicans really like to blame Democratic President Joe Biden the outrageous inflation that we've been experiencing here in America recently. Now, if you ask Republicans how the Democrats caused prices to skyrocket, they can't give you an answer. Because they're just playing the blame game in hopes of compelling voters to vote for Republicans in the next elections. But Republicans really need to stop whining about inflation, because the truth is they're the ones who helped cause this problem to begin with. Unlike them, I can actually explain why this economic catastrophe is their fault. Now, we all know the root cause of our current inflation crisis is COVID-19. Republicans are the ones who exasperated the pandemic by downplaying it and acting like it was no big deal. They didn't want to wear masks, or social distance, or stay home, or get vaccinated. And therefore, they help spread the virus and allow it to rage out of control. They cared more about their sense of personal freedom than how the consequences of their selfish actions would devastate our entire country. It was their childish, irresponsible behavior that really fueled the pandemic, making more people sick and leading to a labor shortage. Demand exceeded supply, and so the prices went up. Now, Republicans are complaining about the very inflation that they helped cause. If they had supported lockdowns, social distancing, wearing masks, and getting vaccinated, instead of proudly opposing those precautions, we would not be suffering from the same economic fallout that we're enduring now. We know this to be true because countries like New Zealand, for example, who took COVID more seriously and who took serious action to help contain the pandemic, fared much better than we did, both in terms of saving lives and in terms of stabilizing their economy. We also have to consider that Republicans care much more about business than they care about the American people. When they voted for Trump, they chose to give massive tax breaks to billionaires and corporations in the hopes that business owners would pass down their savings to their workers. In short, Republicans voted for trickle-down economics again, even though we know that doesn't work. It didn't work when Bush tried it, and it doesn't even work in theory. You can't expect the greediest, most selfish people in the country to suddenly become generous just because you give them a tax break. If billionaires wanted to pay their employees fair wages because it's the right thing to do, they would. After all, they already make more than enough money without tax breaks to pay their workers a living wage. But they're not ethical people. Instead, most of them use the savings from these tax breaks to buy up stock in their own corporations or to buy out smaller competitors so they can make more money. They created stronger monopolies, which allowed them to dominate the markets even more than they already were. And now they're using the COVID-19 inflation as an excuse to price gouge consumers even further. For years, Republicans have voted for policies that enable corporate greed, monopolies, and price gouging. And now they have the nerve to whine about the very inflation problem that they helped create. Now sure, you can say that Biden worsened the inflation problem that we're experiencing with his Rescue America Act. But he wouldn't have had to spend so much money through that plan if Trump and his Republicans had not gone out of their way to make COVID-19 as bad as it could possibly get by constantly downplaying it and actively mismanaging it. Of course, you can make the argument that Biden's sanctions on Russia, because of their war against the Ukraine, did help inflate the current economic crisis that we're dealing with. But those embargoes received bipartisan support from both Republicans and Democrats in Congress. So you can't blame one party more than the other when it comes to the economic cost of Biden's decision. Now, Biden has taken steps to help lower inflation, but he can't actually force these greedy companies to stop raising prices so far beyond what they need to cover the increased production and supply costs, or else Republicans would call him a communist. Every time Democrats want to stop corporate price gouging, which we know they're doing because companies are recording record profits and making more money now than they were before COVID-19, Republicans fight them on it. For example, Democrats in the House of Representatives proposed a bill that would help stop oil companies from price gouging consumers. This bill would actually punish oil companies for charging excessive fees for gas. Every single Republican in the House of Representatives voted against this bill. They have money to pay for their home energy needs and to fill up their cars with gas. So it's good for them if the American people struggle with these everyday costs. Because then Republicans can blame inflation and high gas prices on the current sitting president, who happens to be a Democrat. And in doing so, by blaming the Democrats for all of our financial problems, they can encourage voters to vote for Republicans in the next election cycle. So Republicans not only exasperated the COVID-19 pandemic that led to inflation to begin with, and voted for policies that allowed corporations to monopolize and price gouge consumers, but they are also actively trying to stop Democrats from resolving this economic crisis that we're suffering from and help the American people. So don't believe Republicans when they blame Democrats for the financial dumpster fire that they started. It is the Republican political failures that led to the economic struggles that we are now dealing with. Please remember that when you go to the polls next time. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can view similar content on my other social media platforms. And check out my books on Amazon.com. Two Masters, You Cannot Serve Both Jesus and Trump, and Gay is Okay, Why Homosexuality is Natural and Not Sinful. They're available in both paperback and ebook formats. Links in the description below. I'm Ryan CRC with The Truth Heals, and until next time, take care.